Hey, good morning everybody on the internet. This is Blind Justice on the streets of Aberdeen, Washington, sitting outside of City Hall once again. This is day 33 of our peaceful protest, Resting is Not a Crime. And giving you guys some updates on our petition that we have going around. We have the power of referendum here in Aberdeen, which is cool. I talked on that I think yesterday with it being a first-class city. We're one of only 8 cities in Washington State that people can basically veto legislation that comes out of the City Hall. So we're working on that, and the number we need to hit is 604. We need 604 signatures. We're at about 250 right now, and so almost halfway there. And we've only been doing this about a week, so that's pretty cool. Great progress. We've got other people coming on board this week to do some canvassing with us. So hopefully we can knock it out this week, get all the signatures we need. But we'll keep going after this week and just kind of, see how many we can collect before our cutoff date, which is July 20th, I think is when we're going to try to get it in by. And then from there, the clerk here, the city clerk, has to tally them up and verify registered voters and that they're registered to vote here in Aberdeen and all that, and make sure our numbers are good. And then it goes to the city council to either have it repealed, the ordinance repealed, or they can send it out for a special election. So special elections is a whole nother municipal election just for this ordinance to either have it stay or go, and that costs money, right? To set up the ballots, run the voting centers, to staff it with people, unless they get volunteers, but still it's going to cost the city some time and some money to do that if they wanted to do that over an ordinance that's already unconstitutional, doesn't make sense, and just isn't going to be enforced. If it is, it opens the city up for a lawsuit. So hopefully, and you guys can share this video maybe with some city council members or Eric Larson, hopefully the city council will wake up and realize the people are going to veto it, the people are going to overturn it, within, a few weeks here, and maybe they can save face and propose a new ordinance that repeals this ordinance. So that would be great, if they took the initiative there and did it internally instead of having the people say, no, you can't do that. Because that's what's going to happen. We're going to hit our signatures and have it overturned with the voice of the people, which is great. I don't know if that's ever happened here in Aberdeen. That'd be an interesting case to check out, or history, see if the people have ever overturned the local legislation here. So we're working on that, and if you're interested in coming out with us and canvassing, going door to door, getting signatures, contact the page or come out and meet me. I'm sitting outside of City Hall for a couple hours today and moving around downtown. We found that while going door to door in the morning times, signature gathering is a little slower than in the evening. People at work and busy with other stuff. So we've shifted to doing more of that in the evening. And we were at Walmart yesterday for about 5 hours or so and got about 70 signatures at Walmart. So that was very fruitful. So it's great that the big box store, international store Walmart, supports our freedom to petition and talk with people and get people informed. And so we invite any local businesses to also open their storefronts to us to come and petition there and support the local business while we're at it. Because we did purchase things from Walmart. We're over there, like a little table and chair for our setup, and some snacks and things. So yeah, any local businesses that want to allow us to petition near the front of their building, that's great. I went to been going to local businesses around town, and some of them, the employees or operator owners are signing the petition, some of them not. All been pretty respectful about, whether they do or don't. Obviously they don't, then they ask me to leave, or they have a conversation. I had a conversation with a couple business owners about it, addressed some of their concerns, and through the conversation they realized that their concerns aren't addressed by the ordinance. So then okay, great. Well, then why not sign this petition since this ordinance isn't doing any of the things that you're concerned about? And then it's usually like, that happens a lot from, I don't know, we probably talked to well over 1,000 people now on the street getting petitions, signatures and whatnot, between Walmart and going door to door, because Walmart just people all the time. But so a lot of the people at Walmart were out of town, right? Because it's the closest Walmart nearby, and the percentage of the out-of-towners or even out-of-staters, like when they hear what's going on, like what the petition's about, they're like, oh yeah, I wish I could sign that. That's like, there's only been maybe 1 or 2 people from out of town that we talked to that were like, oh no, I think that ordinance is probably a right step. But the rest, the vast majority, like 99% of the people from out of town were like, oh yes, that's dumb, let's sign that, get that off the books. And so it's interesting, we talked about this a few days ago about how, I think it was the clergyman I mentioned, when he lived here most of his life, and when he left for a bit, met his wife, and then came back, he had a different perspective, right? He expanded his view of the world and society and how things work, and it's very similar with these people from out of town. They don't live here and haven't been living here for a long time, so they have a different, objectivity to the situation. They're like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense, get that off the books. So it's interesting how a lot of the local people don't really know what the ordinance is about, haven't read it themselves. We have it on the petitions as we're required to, and we encourage everybody to read it when we bring the petition to them. So they're informed on what exactly it is. And so a lot of the counter arguments for people not signing is, well, people are peeing and pooping on the streets. Like, okay, there are already other ordinances that address that. This one does not. Well, it's people in sleeping bags. Okay, there are already ordinances that address that with camping and things like that, camping paraphernalia. This one does not address that. Well, it's people sleeping. Well, this one also doesn't address sleeping. It's just sitting or lying down. And what else? Private property. Yeah, people need to respect private property and get off doorways and things like. Okay, well, this is about public property. So there's been, a handful of these arguments that people make, and like none of your concerns, none of your arguments actually address anything that these ordinances are talking about. So it's a very misinformed public, or that we've run into, and once we talk, we've had several people through conversation start off thinking that some of those same concerns that I just mentioned, and through us talking about it, showing them the ordinance, letting them read it, then they realize, oh yeah, this doesn't address it, this doesn't make sense, and they change their mind and sign the petition. So that's great. We've had several people in that boat, not many, because usually it's people have their mind made up before having a conversation. Sadly, is a very common thing. And even if they change their mind during the course of conversation, a lot of times there's a pride issue that they just won't sign it in principle because, like, well, if I sign, that means that I lose the argument. It's like, well, I don't consider, I don't think in terms of arguments of winning and losing. It's sharing ideas. So, but that's not how a lot of people think. A lot of people think of it as a fight, and there's a winner and a loser. So, anyway, that's been kind of our experience with the petitions. A lot of support off and on throughout the neighborhoods and through sitting out at Walmart yesterday, and then some discussions, and some people just angry just in general with who knows what, all kinds of stuff with life, and then you get some non-coherent arguments about somebody said something about Obama, and I'm like, I don't know how Obama plays a factor in this local ordinance. And there's other interesting things. Somebody talked about smoking, like, we approached a lady, and she's like, well, no, I'm not going to sign that. You don't want me to stop my smoking or something. And so there's a lot of other discussions that have arisen while we've been out on the street petitioning from people that aren't really coherent and be able to have a back and forth conversation about the subject. And that number is actually a lot higher than I thought it was going to be, like percentage-wise, of the people that just aren't cognitively there to discuss an issue, right? A lot of it is that pareidolia effect that we talked about a few times, where they've already got a set image locked in, and so that's all that there can be, is this set image, like very myopic view of it. And so any other information that challenges that turns a light on and highlights there's a whole another area over here, is scary to somebody that is only looking through the little lens, because like, oh, under control, wait, there's a whole other world out there, and people get afraid of things they don't understand. So it's new information, something they don't understand, haven't researched. There's a tendency for people to react in fear, and when people are afraid, they get sometimes angry or loud or whatever. And so that's just some of the things that have happened while petitioning. We did have a friend out with us a few days ago, going door to door. Not yesterday, the day before yesterday. So I guess that was Saturday. Alright, I think we're back. I had connection issues. I was saying there's a guy out with us Saturday doing petitions. Hey, good morning.
Hey, I got those coming up.
Nice. Yeah. Cool.
Great tool.
Yeah, awesome. Have a great day. Anyway, one of the guys out doing petitions with us the other day, he was walking by a fence in a neighborhood. A dog was jumping up to the top of the fence, and the dog was wagging his tail and didn't show any signs of aggression. And so he puts his hand over to pet the dog, like top of the fence, and the dog jumps up and bites his hand. So this is our friend, and like, it was bad. Like, it got deep. There's blood. Like, it crushed a couple bones in his hand. He went to the hospital and had surgery on it. Stayed overnight, and he's doing better. He's doing a lot better. He's on antibiotics, and he's got it soft casted. I think they're gonna go investigate it again in a little bit and make sure that it's not infected, and then put a hard cast on it. So yeah, it's been lively time doing petitions, and we'll continue to do that. So again, I can encourage City Council to wake up and realize that it's going to be overturned by the people, and maybe they can take the initiative to repeal it themselves. So, all right, everybody have a great day. Peace and love to you, and Deo Presto Liber.